Welcome everyone to the Moisky News for June the 1st, 2021. Today, as you will have noticed from the title, I would like to talk about the growing power and/or delusions, mostly of the former leader of the Liberal Democrats, Sir Nick Clegg. Sir Nick Clegg assumed office as a member for Sheffield Hallam in 2005 and left in 2017 after being beaten by the then Labour member Jared O'Mara, who we've discussed on this channel for a number of scandals he's been involved in. He's now an independent. After 2 years as an MP, he managed to successfully obtain the position of leader of the Liberal Democrats. I do believe this had something to do with his European Parliament position, which he had held from 1999 to 2004, one successful term, of course. But he was succeeded by Robert Kilroy Silk of UKIP, so I wonder why he lost it. 3 years later, because the election was so close, the Conservatives held a minority win. They negotiated with the Liberal Democrats to form a coalition, therefore ousting Labour's 13-year reign and getting rid of Gordon Brown, the single most exciting man in UK politics. These negotiations yielded some rather interesting results, the more notable of which would include two things. One, the tax bar was raised from £6,000 to 10 eventually, which meant you could earn £10,000 before you paid tax, which is great. But there was a downside. Around that time I was at university, and most of my friends, most of the university in fact, voted Liberal Democrat for one big reason. Because of the massive hole left by Labour, which was memed quite a bit, there was a concession made to raise the tax while they had to do something else, and it impacted the students when it came to funding, which led to tuition fees, instead of staying where they were, being trebled. This understandably meant the Conservatives had made sure the Lib Dems were shafted in 5 years. Hell, under Nick Clegg, they were all but annihilated into obscurity. One other noteworthy contribution would be he was the very first person to call for a speaker to be made to resign after the expenses scandal, because of how poorly it was handled by the speaker. Since his party was annihilated in 2015, he went to the backbenches of his very small party, which is essentially like sitting in the back of a car with the rest of your members. And obviously in 2017 he left. Not long after, he got a new job. Congratulations! Along with being knighted, which made very little sense to me, I will admit. He essentially betrayed so many people, only to then get knighted. His new job, by the way, is for Facecuck. His current job title is Vice President of Global Affairs and Communications. This includes a $500,000 a year salary, which is many times more than what he ever got as an MP. Congratulations! He lives in a $1 million home, 2.7 I believe they keep talking about. He lives in Silicon Valley. He is essentially Zuckerberg's right-hand man, which is fantastic for him, not so much for everyone else. You see, Nick Clegg's been in a number of controversies, and they are what I want to now go through. Some of his more noteworthy contributions to Facecuck and controversy by extension would include the fact that he agreed Facecuck needed to pay more tax, but Nick Clegg found a way out of it. See, he's a European, everyone, and a liberal working in America. He knows the system really well. So what did he do? He moved Facecuck's operation to Ireland. It's what Google does if you ever get an AdSense check. You'll notice it comes from Ireland. Other more noteworthy contributions would include that Nick Clegg is now trying to use his influence, somewhat successfully, to decide who the new chair of Ofcom should be. Ofcom regulate companies like Facecuck. So what has Nick Clegg been doing? He has been lobbying for a potential appointee to simply not be chosen, and this has in fact semi-succeeded. It stalled the selection process, and the reason he doesn't want this particular appointee is because this particular appointee doesn't like Facebook, and he wants to do things to it to cause it harm, which I'm okay with, because Facecuck sucks. Another more notable thing that Nick Clegg has been doing, Sir Nick Clegg, is he is actually responsible for President Donald Trump's face cuck ban. And the reason why he's responsible for it is because Zuckercuck himself deferred it to him. Now, I'm sure that Nick Clegg, being the big fan of Trump, but mostly optics he is, so he has deferred this to an extent to a committee instead. And while it is months old to reference that, I wanted to bring it up because it is an interesting little facet of Nick Clegg, a man who is known for being so pro-Europe that when he was told Europe were trying to make an army, he said no, they would never do that, only to be proven months later that that is exactly what they've been trying to do. And the only reason they haven't succeeded is because a large number of the nations within the EU are very much against the idea of giving them a quota of troops, a troop tithe, as it were. I do have to give Sir Nick Clegg some credit. For someone who is so universally hated in this country, it's impressive how much power he holds, how much influence he has managed to attain, and how quickly he was willing to give up being British just to drive home that global message that got him voted out of office in a Remain voting constituency. Now, as we're done, I do want to know what you all think. Please do let me know in the comments down below. Have a fantastic day and thank you all for listening.